Welcome back for another dose of science with TVGP's We Roguelike It ranking. I am your host,
Uh,
Boston PhD. Yes.
uh-huh. Keep going.
Over there's Dr. Moon. What you got?
Hi. What exactly is a dose of science,
Uh,
Boston?
I am not. You need a prescription for that. I can't just patient confidentiality. The First Amendment. My console said
So,
to not
if
say.
you need a prescription for a dose of science and we are delivering a dose of science,
Mm-hmm.
are you giving prescription drugs to everyone who listens to this episode
I feel like
without giving them a prescription?
I'd like to talk to my lawyer. If
I
that's possible.
definitely would recommend it at this point.
Before we get into our latest ranking here, I want to mention our next game, which is going to be Go Mecha Ball, which at the time of recording is on Game Pass. So go ahead and check it out. It's on
Yes.
Xbox platforms and PC. We're playing that for our next game here. Before we do that, we're going to talk about our final thoughts here for Brotato. We're going to wrap up our final thoughts.
Bro.
Brotato. The final thoughts here for Brotato, as well as asking the big question we ask every month, which is, are we going to continue playing this game? Moon,
Yes.
why don't you start us off? What are your final thoughts on
Yes.
Brotato?
Yes, I'm gonna keep playing this stupid game.
Thanks, uneven point achievements.
Pretty much.
You
That's
jerks.
exactly what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. A bright side is accessibility options. Still doesn't make Danger 4 any easier, but
Mm.
accessibility options. Um, sorry, I took apart my phone controller
Uh-huh.
for my phone,
Oh,
and
okay.
I couldn't get it back together again.
There you go.
It was the Brotato Humpty Dumpty, one might say, that I was
Right.
struggling with for a second. Um, I mean, yeah, probably yes to get the achievements, but probably not on a consistent basis. Probably not on an emotional basis.
It's not like
Probably not on
Spirit
a
Hunters where you're
do I
like,
care?
I gotta do this, I gotta fill the web, I gotta see all this stuff.
True.
Yeah.
Until I get the notification that it's leaving Game Pass, and then at that point it'll be like,
Right.
uh-oh, time to boogie on down.
Right. Right. So, what are your final thoughts here on Brotato after our, like we talked about in the last episode? We're cutting this one a little short because of some travel and some things that came up. Uh, but what were your final thoughts here?
I honestly think that you phrased this the best,
Hmm.
I think, in our second episode, episode 2,
Mm-hmm.
where you said this game feels like it is a mile wide and an inch deep.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, I think that's probably the best summation I can think of this game.
Yeah.
Where there is a lot to do, a lot to do. And it goes all the way across the breadth of the 90 bajillion characters there is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing below that.
Right.
Like there is no final goal, there is no story, there is no anything like that to it. There's no meta progression, as we've discussed plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is fine. It
Yeah.
is just not great.
Right. I think that's my thing for this game too. And the more that we play games like this, because every once in a while we'll run into games like this where, the positive and the negative of this show is we spend usually around a month playing these games. And sometimes that means we finish a game or we get really close to it with something like Atomic Crops. Or it's something like Slice and Dice where you're like, I played this a bunch and I played maybe 5% of what this game has to offer, and that's cool. But sometimes we get games like Brotato where there might be a hook and there might be something where the game takes a turn eventually that you kind of something opens up and the whole game opens up and suddenly the options are laid out in front of you. But I don't want to say this doesn't seem like one of those games, but after us playing it for 3 weeks, I didn't even start seeing the beginnings of that stuff. Like I really need, and I think the more we do the show, the more I realize this. I really need more roguelikes to start showing me at least the seeds of that stuff getting planted way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because we've seen that with, I mean, we started seeing that with Streets of Rogue, where it's like, oh, we played this for a month. Okay, now I'm starting to see how this game can kind of unfold and continue to evolve. But the beginning of that game, I didn't see that at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my problems too with Brotato is it didn't really click with me. Like you said, it's fine. It's a fine game. But I think I'm looking for something a little bit more in like a bullet heaven roguelike. Um, and I'm I'm not always going to constantly be comparing all bullet heavens to Vampire Survivors because that's not really fair, especially with how long that game has been out. But you even look at something like Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde that takes this subgenre and does some cool stuff with it, especially with like the meta progression web that it has. You look at something like Halls of Torment that takes the subgenre and puts kind of like a Diablo 1 spin on it, which we'll probably play the game once it comes out of early access and reaches consoles. But you look at something like Brotato, and like I talked about last week, its simplicity is its strength and its weakness. Because this game is super simple. It's one screen that you don't really scroll too much on. It's just kind of a gray area. Not a ton of enemy types, not a ton of stuff. There's a bunch of weapons and items and stuff. And to be fair, there are a ton of stats in the game that do change your run quite a bit. But for me, the simplicity of it wasn't really a strength in this instance. And it's a bummer because I think if this was a game that would have clicked with me, I think this would have been a cool game that, like you said, there's a ton of content in here. Like there's a million things you could do in this game. But just unfortunately it didn't really click with me at all. So
Yeah, same.
yeah. And then to answer our monthly question, I'm probably not gonna play this afterwards. I'd rather put my time into kind of focusing on our next game here. So
Yep.
yeah. Let's talk about our ranking though here. If this is the first episode you listened to We Roguelike It ranking, welcome. We've got the giant list of the best roguelikes of all time that we have determined via science. You can look at the list at weroguelikeit.com. That gives you the whole list and links to where to buy the game and where to listen to and watch all these episodes. So we're going to figure out where it's going to sit in this list. So we're going to start at number 50 here with Black Sea Odyssey. Is Brotato better than Black Sea Odyssey?
I mean, I would go with yes because I can actually beat the final boss of Brotato.
Yeah, even if it's a little bit like anticlimactic, you can definitely beat Brotato. I think I would agree with that as well. I think Black Sea Odyssey's problem was the developers I think like shot too far, like for a moon that was too far away, and I think they tried really hard. It just didn't all come together.
Oh, I mean, Black Sea also got like the early access to death. Or
I
like,
think
this isn't hard enough.
I think that was the genesis of our like early access roguelike problem of like, no, harder. Like I've run out of content, make it harder. Yeah, that's true. Is Brotato better than Curse of the Dead Gods?
This is a tough one because I think Curse is a very good roguelike.
It's very solid. I don't think it. I mean, it's number 49 in our list, so like, it
was also super deep and hard to get into.
Yeah. I'm very excited to eventually get to the those developers' next game. I don't remember the name of. I know it's another roguelike.
They have packages that go on sale as well, by the way. They frequently have a couple of their games in it. Just so
Oh,
you know.
nice. Okay. Keep an eye out for that. Um, I don't know. Curse of the Dead Gods was really solid. Brutally
Hmm.
difficult.
Yes.
Um, 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 um. With how much I'm hesitating, maybe that's where Brotato stops.
Yep. Maybe we started too high.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure. Um,
You give me a choice right now. Do you want to go play Brotato or Curse for the next 4 weeks? I
I'd play
play
Curse.
Curse every time.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, are you? Do you? Since you're mentioning that we started too
I'm,
high, do you make? Are you going to make a case for another spot for it to be on this list lower down? I'm willing to entertain
no, I
that.
just think we started too high because we managed to get one game out the
Right,
way.
right, right. All right. Well, congratulations to Brotato for our number 50 list. You cracked the top 50 here. Don't worry about how many games total is in the list. That's not your problem. So congratulations again.
Yes, that is true.
You want to see the entire list? Check it out at weroguelikeit.com. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I'm going to say the words Go Mecha Ball again, just so I can try and remember the name of this title. We're going to be playing that for our next game. Go Mecha Ball. That's the title of the game.
Yes,
So thank you very much,
yes,
everyone, for
go
listening.
back.
We'll see you all next run. Bye.
Bye.